What if the things you thought about divorce were actually all wrong? Now, I know that you may know somebody who knows somebody who knows someone that has gone through a nasty divorce. And between TV and media and maybe our own personal experiences, we think that everything about divorce is negative. But I want to challenge that and tell you that that's not necessarily true. What if you could put your ear up to the door of a therapist, or read their session notes, or just jump into the brain of a therapist and listen to all of the things that they wanted you to know? Now, I am not a therapist. I am a certified divorce financial analyst. However, I am here to tell you about the realities of divorce that you may not even be thinking about. Let's retrain your brain so that you are mentally and financially prepared for the process by going through 10 important things. The first thing is getting very comfortable with change. So if change is your new comfort zone, then you have to think about change as a great place to be. You're not thinking about the fact that you're going through a divorce as a failure or a disappointment in your life. You may be sad, you may be disappointed, but actually I'm sure that there are many positive things that happen in your marriage. And I remember having a conversation with my own therapist in the past about divorce and marriages ending. There was this idea that your marriage has reached its expiration, which I thought was a really cool take on the idea of divorce. So if you think about it that way, then the change that's happening is not necessarily bad. And while you may be uncomfortable, it is okay to adjust your perspective and embrace the transformation that's happening. Healthy communication is underrated. I talk about the importance of communication all the time, so you're probably sick of me saying it, but here we go again. According to most therapists, healthy communication is the hero and active listening is the superhero. Active listening requires you to have patience, ask open-ended questions, and have empathy for your partner or your soon-to-be ex-spouse. The next thing that I want you to be aware of is that your children are watching everything. And I know sometimes we get caught up in emotions and we end up saying things that we might regret, or we say things that may be factually accurate to us, but it can paint your partner in a negative light. So be very careful about the way that you act and the things that you say in front of your child. You want to model the behavior that you would like to see them have in their future relationship. And from a personal perspective, even though my parents were never married, one thing that I can give my mom kudos about is she never spoke badly about my father. At least not in front of me. You often hear people talking about self-care. Well, the bottom line is when you're going through the divorce process and even after, you don't want to neglect your self-care. So think about your energy, think about your body as a bucket or a tank. You need to constantly refuel it, doing the things that will make you happy, that will make you feel relaxed and replenish. So this is not the time to neglect yourself. A mediator could actually be your fairy godparent when you're going through divorce. Traditionally, the first person that we think of to call when you're going through a divorce is an attorney. And attorneys absolutely have a role to play in divorce. However, mediators are also an underrated tool and professional when you're going through a divorce, because not only can they save you a lot of money, they can help keep you out of court. Therapists actually suggest working with mediators to reduce drama and help to boost the likelihood that you will have a fair negotiation process and divorce settlement. Closure is found, not given. When relationships end, especially when they don't end the way we expected them to, we are often seeking closure. But seeking closure sometimes can feel like trying to grab a shadow. Therapists recommend that you actually create closure instead of waiting for it to happen. One of the ways in which you can do this is by embracing the change. Hint, hint. I talked about that being one of the first things that you can do, but embrace the change and look forward to your future. Write down or journal the things that you want to happen in your next chapter and have conversations. Tell the universe about the things that you want to happen as you redefine your future path. Now, here's another one that is just the reality of the situation, and sometimes this is not going to make everyone happy, but I think it's important to know. Co-parenting does not equal friendship. The fact is that not all exes can be friends. Now, if you can, that's fantastic. But sometimes people confuse co-parenting with being friends or rekindling a romance, and you want to make sure that you have very clear boundaries. You have open communication about what the co-parenting relationship will be like and what is in the best interest of the kids. That's not to say that you should not get along, but just being partners in parenting is usually enough. They do not have to be your best buddy. Your new identity of being single is a superpower. So many times we are devastated by the idea of losing the title of being a wife. However, flying solo does not mean that you're losing your superpower. It actually means that you have an opportunity to embrace or figure out exactly who you are at this point in your life, which is actually likely very different than who you were when you first got married. Rediscovering your strengths, your passions, and how to give yourself a lot of self-love is a great thing, not a bad thing. The next thing is about making sure that you give yourself a chance to actually grieve. Divorce is a loss, and we have to grieve that loss in the way that makes sense for us as individuals. Grieving is a natural part of healing, and you never know when the grief is going to hit you. And it may not be a one-time thing. It could happen immediately after you sign the divorce papers, or 2 weeks or 2 years later. You really just never know. So my tip related to making sure that you give yourself space is on the day that your divorce is supposed to be final, don't go to work. You do not want to have a conversation with your manager, your team, or be giving an important presentation and be hit with an overwhelming amount of emotions. The last, not least, but one of the most important things is that forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. It's not for the other person. I know there's a bit of irony in that, but allow yourself the opportunity to forgive because it will make you feel lighter. It will help you on your healing journey. All the hostility and feelings and emotions that you have that are negative about your partner may be warranted. However, harboring resentment can be counterintuitive to your healing process. So think about forgiveness as a gift to you, not to them. If any of these realities are things that you actually want to be on board with and you want to make sure that you get through your divorce process as smoothly as possible, then I invite you to grab our complimentary divorce support pack. The divorce support pack is intended to serve pre- and post-divorce women, and it can give you information about the important allies and professionals who can help you through the process, help you figure out what to expect, and also some of the things that you need to consider pre- and post-divorce. The link is in the description to the divorce support pack, and I encourage you to grab it today. Last but not least, take firm hero action. Think about the things that you want to be committed to now that you know some of the positive realities of going through a divorce and figuring out how it can help you in your next chapter. If you like this video and want to see more like it, take the time to like or subscribe to the channel. I'm Nikki Tucker with A Firm Approach.